Guys, so today I thought we'd talk a little bit about impact, and impact is, well, it's obviously a big thing, but we're talking about centeredness of strike probably more so than just the impact itself. So your ability to find the center of the club face. And when you sort of think about it, it's a great thing when it happens, because obviously when you hit a shot out the center of the face, let me kind of hit a couple of shots here and see if I can find one myself. Yeah, not bad, a little off center, but what happens is it feels like effortless. It feels like nothingness when you hit it out the centre of the club face, because you don't really get such a big reverberation. Now that shot I hit there came admittedly slightly off centre, as you can sort of feel it. But what happens is that even when you get the more peripheral weighted clubs, you know, the bigger sort of weighted clubs, you still kind of notice it when you don't strike it as good. Obviously the feedback when you're using more of a blade is maybe slightly more pronounced. But the point that I'm making, you hit it out the centre of the club face, it feels great, but it does actually cause you a little bit of a problem. And the reason why it causes you a bit of a problem is because the golf ball goes further, okay, which is a great thing. But if you're kind of you get caught in between two clubs and you're going to hit a shot right here, and you know, you kind of pull, maybe going out for a 7 instead of the 8 iron, and you hit it flush out the centre of the face, a little bit more like that kind of shot, then all of a sudden it goes over the back of the green. It's caused you a bit of a problem. But the question ultimately then is, well, why? Why can't you find the centre of the club face more frequently? The main reason is a lot to do with your swing plane. So what we're not looking for is if your swing plane is too vertical, then the club is going to be delivered and the toe is going to stand up more. So basically if I sort of came down, I could still come down pretty much on plane. I'm just coming down a more vertical plane because my hips are moving more this way. The club is going to stand up and I'm going to be much more prone to hitting it out the toe. And let's be honest, like, I get students all the time reaching out for help, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, 80% of the time, I'd say most golfers are starting the first move, firing that right hip forward. That makes them get very vertical on the back of the golf ball. And you can't find the centre of the club face, or you can't find it on a very frequent basis. Now, just putting that into context, that's why actually when we're doing things like chipping, it's actually quite beneficial to stand a little bit closer towards the ball, because you do sort of expose the toe of the club. And the reason why that's okay is because it's actually all right to hit it off the toe when it comes to chipping. So you don't need the ball coming off really quick. We're not looking for fast ball speed with chipping. That's actually one of the little secret tips to creating spin shots, is actually to deliberately hit it more off centre, so that you can hit it harder to produce more ball, to produce more spin. Now, not getting too distracted with spinning wedges in this video, but that's my point. So the big thing that you need to kind of work on when you are off centre striking is your hip depth. So the feeling ultimately is that when you start the downswing, you want to get that sense that your pelvis is moving right really downward and towards the left hand side. And I think the easiest sort of feeling is just to go to the belt buckle. So I'm going to try and get the feeling of my belt buckle pointing down towards my left ankle. And what that does is that promotes hip depth. So you can see the difference here. If I swing up to the top and I start my downswing with a rotational manner, still vertical. If I fire my right hip forward, more vertical. If I pull my arms down and move this way, I'm still vertical. So you need to get that pelvis down to retain the hip depth, see how much lower I am towards the ground, because this helps me get that swing plane coming down on this type of angle, therefore give me a much greater chance of delivering the club out the centre of the club face. So if you're sort of noticing that your contact in terms of hitting the centre of the face is really infrequent, then the place that you actually want to be looking for is not moving your hands around and, you know, spraying your club face to try and figure out anything, because you can't really cheat it. You know, if your body orientation's wrong, your hands and arms are going to be compensating for it. So you have to work on your hip depth and that feeling of pulling that lead hip back. And as I sort of just hit a few shots to finish off, just to really exaggerate that feeling, kind of see how low I get here, yeah, as I really hold these positions just to dramatize. And that's the big thing you got to work on, because when you can start rotating your body more down and this way, you can then hold onto your wrist angles, hold onto your arm position. That gets that club shaft shallowing out, gets the hands delivered ahead of the ball, and gives you a better chance of finding the centre of the face. See you soon.